Hi everyone, welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Failing Up. Today I'm sitting down with Dini, the co-founder of the AI matchmaking dating app Sitch. In this episode, we discuss dating culture, matchmaking, and not sharing a bathroom. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I have. Dini. Excited to have you in the chair with me, and I'm mostly very excited to talk about one of the hottest topics topics of all time, which is dating.
Honestly, if you think about the fact that since the time of the ancient Greeks, people have been always asking this question, who and how do I find my soulmate, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been the hottest topic for the entire time that humanity has existed.
And I feel like now there's been the concept of democratized soulmates, because before, when you were younger, or I mean, even before social media existed, you were exposed to 200 people to see or date. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now it's like hundreds by the thousands. It's a little overwhelming.
It is the paradox of choice to the maximum, right? Because you're like, and dating apps sometimes make you feel that way. Living in New York makes you feel that way, where you're like, there's so many people out there, right? There's literally like 1 million plus singles in this city. And you're like, okay, my soulmate's definitely out there. But all of these like methods of needle in the haystack and like swipe till you find your person, those all seem really frustrating and really not an efficient way to find your person.
Yes. So as someone who's been on dating apps, I've had one relationship
From a dating app.
Okay. Obviously not successful, but it was still a good experience. He wasn't a bad guy by any means. But I think after that, it's interesting because a lot of my friends, I don't know if, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing, but a lot of my friends, at first when they get on a dating app, they find a relationship. And then after that, it's like really hard to find one after that because you get like dating app fatigue. It's fun at the first 3 months. Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, no, this is not.
Well, it's in some ways like an addiction, right? Like the swiping addiction where you're like, oh, the constant dopamine hit of, oh, I'm swiping, someone saying they like me. Like that gives me that bit of confidence. That gives me that bit of excitement. At first, it's new and exciting to be talking to so many different people. And honestly, you're excited about the possibility that one of the 27 men you're talking to could potentially be your soulmate, right? Yeah. And then the more time goes on, you're like, well, there's so much wrong with these people. Or after that first relationship, you realize, oh my God, I went on a date with this guy because he looked cute and I had very little to go off in his profile. But I'm going to have to sit and vet all these people so much more deeply.
More jaded, right? Yeah. Because at first when I was on the dating apps when I was younger, I was like, la-di-da-di-da, this is so fun, like kid in a candy store. But now I'm like, oh,
now your stomach is hurting. You've had way too much candy. Yeah. And you're like, I kind of want like a healthy, wholesome meal, right? And that's kind of where I think a lot of people who started dating at the age that, most of us started dating, where it was like, you've been on these platforms for 5, 7, 8, 10 years. Like, think about how long the swipe-based apps have been around for. You're like, I need a break. I do not need more candy. What I need is a sweet green salad.
Yeah, I think that'd be the dream at this point. So I do want to point out, though, that the dating app fatigue is showing. So Tinder's revenue declined 4% year over year in 2025. Paid users dropped by 7%. They lost 400,000 paid users for the second quarter in a row. Mm-hmm. Bumble reported an 8.7% reduction in paid users as well for Q2 of 2025. You are working on the dating app Sitch, which is an AI matchmaker, correct? How do you plan on changing that structure? And I feel like that's a bold risk to take in a market that people seem to reject.
I don't know if it's a bold risk, right? Some of the best ideas come from low NPS solutions where you know that there's like market desire for it. People always want to be in relationships. There will always be single people.
That's very true.
They want a way to meet. What we're seeing is fatigue of the system as it stands, right? So you're saying that, swipe-based apps are really frustrating right now. Mm-hmm. Before that, it was, OkCupid.com and it was Shadi.com. It was all of these website-based matrimonial sites, right? Yeah. And then people got sick of that and they were like, oh, now I have Tinder. I have this like
photo-based. Like, this is better.
So if you think about it, right, you always see these big changes in consumer behavior, right? So we're seeing the next change in consumer behavior where I don't want self-serve, right? Where I don't want to sit and figure out, is this person who they say they are? Is this person all of the things that I need? I want someone to help me find that person, right? And what we are offering is a concierge-based way to find your person. We save you time, we save you in the long run money, and we honestly give you the thing that is the most important thing arguably in your life, which is who you pick as your life partner.
And how do you see the trend of swipe dating
It's dead.
continue to change? Oh,
It's dead. It's dead. Like, I think it's what you said, right? We've already had like a kid in the candy store. We're already done with all of that. I think now we're ready to move on. And we're like, okay, if I want a healthy, balanced meal, how do I find it? I need to know what are all the ingredients that make it healthy and balanced for me. And then I don't need to go forage for those ingredients. I want to go somewhere that can give me like a well-packaged salad that I can then consume. I feel like this metaphor has gone pretty far. I've never used it before, but it's like now somehow making sense, right? Where it's this idea of like, why should you be doing the running around and picking and like figuring it out and like whatnot? Like, can't you have someone help you on that journey, right? So what Sitch has done is we've actually innovated on 3 things when it comes to dating. The first is actually the product experience itself, right? Swiping is literally like you going like left, right, like having to figure out, like it's a self-serve model entirely. But then what we have done is you're talking to your AI matchmaker. You're discussing, you're reflecting, you're learning about who you are and what your preferences are, and they're giving feedback. The people who were giving you are then improved based on all of those things. So there's so much that's sort of going into all of this, right? So it's a completely different model. It's literally like concierge-based service, right? And it's able to be done at scale and the way a human matchmaker would behave because of AI. The second big thing is actually like the business model innovation. So we were the first to come up with the idea that it should be a value-based service, right? So instead of you paying a monthly subscription, which you shouldn't have a monthly subscription to your dating apps because it's not like your Netflix account. It feels
so icky. Like listen, after my breakup, I paid for a Hinge premium and I was so ashamed. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so embarrassed. And then it was like, oh, the quick hit validation that you get for 2 seconds when all of a sudden you get exposed to way more people and then you're like, okay, well now I feel like just gross again. So.
Yeah. And it's also just, I find there are things that it makes sense to have a subscription account for, right? Like I'm always going to watch Sex and the City on Netflix, right? So I should have a Netflix subscription.
Killing B2B SaaS your love life. That's crazy.
Exactly. You want it to be like, look, I'm going to send you on 3 amazing dates. I'm going to send you on 5 amazing dates. I'm going to send you on 8 amazing dates. That is like the outcome. And so you should be paying me for that outcome. You shouldn't be paying me for the opportunity to just sit on the platform and do nothing. Yeah. So we charge you buy 3 setups, 5 setups, or 8 setups. So it's a very different business model. And then last, I think we've really done a very different job with like the marketing, right? Our marketing is funny. We lead with humor. We don't lead with these heavily editorialized campaigns that you see.
Love.
Yes, exactly. Anthology of love stories. Like love is love. And it's like, what does that even mean?
Like, okay,
right?
literally you're charging me $30 a month right now.
Don't not do anything, right? And like one of our like the campaigns that we loved and like people seem to love was in the subway. We did this whole takeover of like 260 different stations where we had these like big 2-sheeters that literally said, you've spent, like, did you spend $200 on a bad first date? You may be entitled to a free setup. And that resonated with so many people because it was like, yeah, actually, I've been on so many shitty first dates in my life. And for men, it's like they've wasted money on it. So they're like, oh, like this is different. This is speaking to me in a language and a style that I understand.
Honestly, I was taking a full-blown break from dating apps, but now like you're keeping me open-minded again. So maybe I'll give it a try.
We think really differently of like, I think dating apps have like a bit of a now negative bias about them, obviously, because people have been on them. Like it's, if you do the same thing for 10 years, like swipe on Hinge or Tinder, why should the outcome be any different from the first 10 years you were on it? But I think we're really thinking of ourselves as a category defining app, which is really a matchmaking app, right? So it's a much more serious, high intent data. It's not really someone who is out of college or a few years out of college and is like, going to different bars and like swiping for fun when they're bored at work and they're like, oh, I need a break from like my like finance analyst job. Our average age of our users is 33. That's a much more older, high intent user. So
something I want to point out really fast is I appreciate the fact that you are using AI to bring people closer together, because I remember I was seeing the ad for Friends and people were like drawing all over that, freaking out. It was talking about, basically it felt like it was trying to replace your friendship versus like bringing you closer to a friend. But I think like Claude, for example, their marketing and advertisement is very focused on just adding to your life, not necessarily removing the human aspects from it, which I think is super important. So I really admire that's you're pointing it out. You're using AI to bring people closer together. While there's some dating apps who are like, here's a prompt helper for you to help you message people, and you're
like, wait, then who am I talking to, right? Is your AI talking to my AI? Like,
we're gonna date each other's AI. That's crazy.
And people have said crazy things like this, and like, and people aren't tracking it. Like, it's like, I think a lot of the dating app founders of, the first generation of dating apps are making statements like that. Like, oh yeah, like maybe AI should talk to other AIs. It's like, dude, that not removes the human experience wants. Entirely. No one has asked for that. No, like, people don't want to be served bad people. They want to be served people who they're really excited about, and they want to talk to them themselves. Like, they want to vet the person who they might spend their life with. It is a pretty important decision, and I don't want to trust my, honestly, my GPT that sometimes gets things wrong to be like, oh yeah, you can filter for who my life partner is. So, so Sitch is obviously the name of our matchmaking app, but our holding company is called Unusual Circumstances. So I think we are living in very unusual circumstances. But our tagline is using technology to connect humanity, because that's what we're really trying to do, right? Like, AI is a great tool that helps you filter through these large data sets and collect tons of information about what people are looking for, who they are, what they want, and then allows us to be like, okay, you're looking for someone who is down to move to Mexico City, loves writing poetry, and knows how to ski. And that's a really specific set of things. And then you also layer on that you're like, I really care about having kids in 2 years, and I don't want someone who drinks a lot. And all of these different facts, most of these are not apparent on someone's dating app profile, but this set of core values, long-term goals, all of these things, it needs to exist somewhere, right? And we're using AI to help get that information out of you, structure it in a way that's easy to search, and then show you people who meet the things that you actually care about.
Yeah, because that's actually a good point. Like, this is even better than meeting people in person. You could argue more logistically makes sense. Boom, boom, boom. You get down to the steps, because in a lot of cases, a lot of people, you meet someone in person, you won't talk about kids or anything on the first date. You'll maybe talk about it within a couple months, 5 months, 6 months. This is all right, here we go.
It's showing you the people. In some ways, we get this thing of what about romance? And it's I think we spend a lot of time and energy talking about the moment we fall in love, right? There's a lot of focus on leading up to the first date, leading up to when you get into a relationship, falling in love. But you know what? That's a really small portion of what a relationship actually is. There's decades after that. And the happiness of those decades is really dependent on whether these things align. And we're looking at an incredibly high divorce rate in the US, right? People are getting divorced younger and younger. People are also marrying later and later. People are at this point where they're like, I don't know, should I get married? Should I not get married? What should I do? But people are understanding that these are really huge decisions, and they should be taken with data in mind and with all of this information in mind. So a lot of the times we say we're not saving you time to the first date. A lot of dating apps will sell it as your AI is talking to my AI, and now we've scheduled the date, and then you're like, wait, I would have never agreed to spend 2 hours of my time with this person. In fact, I would have known within 2 messages to this person is wrong for me. Yeah. But it's actually the time after that. It's what you said. If 6 months in or 7 dates in, you're suddenly wait, I've spent all of this time, but actually you want to move back to Minnesota because your entire family lives there and you have this dream of your kids playing pond hockey, but I know that I want to be a journalist and potentially cover war-torn regions of the world. Those two things do not have much in common. Or that one of you believes in private school and the other person is absolutely yes on public school. And these things show up so much later. And now you've wasted, it's not the first date, you've wasted weeks of your life.
Okay, but my question, how do you account for like sometimes people's mind changes, right? It's like how do you account for that? Like, because some things are core values. I agree.
Yeah.
Like if you want monogamy or polyamory, religion most likely is a very strict core value.
That's actually what the interesting thing there is, right? These things change over time and they change according to sometimes the person, right? But what we found is that how often do people update their Hinge or Bumble profiles? Almost never, right? Because there's nothing that's reflecting their current thinking about a subject or a topic.
There's nothing about my core values on my Hinge. It's like, look, I'm pretty.
It's like, I'm pretty and I'm looking for a spicy margarita and like you
I'm
can
like,
like
I hate this here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everyone's so funny and it's like most people are not funny. Like it's like your Hinge profile
no
is
one is who you think they are. Like
No.
I went on this date a couple months ago and I was like, oh, this guy seemed really sweet. He was from Raya. Raya is a little bit questionable. And then immediately during the date, he's like, wow, you're really hot. Like, you have a nice ass. And I was like, babes, I literally met you like 45 minutes ago. Give me a break.
Yeah, you gotta keep like the objectification to at least date 3, right? It can't be date 1 in the middle of date 1.
But then it was like, okay, it was date 1, so I got it out of the way. But still, like, the only reason why we went on this date was because I was like, we had something in common, which was that we were both from San Diego. That was the only thing we could find out about each other. Yeah. Because like, I'm not a person who likes to chat back and forth. He wasn't either, you know?
Yeah. No one really is, right? And even in that chatting, what are you gonna do? Be like, okay, so can you tell me your 5-year plan? Like, you're not gonna ask someone who you met on Raya that in a text message before the date. So there's all of this time and energy that's getting wasted, really. But you know what I think is really interesting, actually, is the fact that like with Sitch, right? It's a continuous conversation. It's not that you create your profile once and then it's done. Everything is a conversation with the matchmaker. So there's no swiping. We're sending you a candidate. You are giving us active feedback. And what we've seen is that there's this self-reflection journey that's happening because of that.
And you can account for that, girl.
Right?
I'm sold.
So it's like, what I found really interesting is like, people's minds are changing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember very early on, there was like someone who like literally like, we obviously can like anonymously see the conversations between people. I don't know who's saying what, but it was like, it was a woman who was like discussing with the bot, oh yeah, I know, like, I feel like this guy's too old for me. And the bot was like, yeah, but this is like within your age filter. And she was like, yeah, my ex was this age. And like, we like felt like there was like this big gulf between us. And it was like, she was like, yeah, actually, I think I need to reduce it by 2 years. And it's like that kind of self-reflection moment, that is, I think, the power of a human matchmaker and an AI matchmaker. The idea that this journey of finding your person is not a solo journey, actually. It is something that you want to share, reflect, and like deeply think about because it's such an important decision. And I think that is at the soul of it, what we're really trying to do. Both of us, I think, have Aura rings, I can see.
Yes,
right?
girl. So it's I'm like, that's an indicator you're happy.
Exactly. But it's like, what I love about like my Aura ring is like, oh, it's this like lifetime storage of all my like fitness data and health data and all of that. Then we think about like our relationships, right? Or like our dating lives, which we spend so many years of our lives in. You don't have any place that's like this like active like repository of the reflections and the learnings of who you are. And that is the promise and in some ways like the hope of what we're doing with Sitch. It's really to like be your guide and accompany you on this many-year, maybe even decade-long journey of finding your person and staying in love.
Hopefully me soon. Let me tell you that, girl.
Yes, absolutely.
So I do want to get into like the different, because I read your Substack post and it was interesting. You guys ran a survey on some of your users, right?
This is actually in the onboarding questions. We just took a data set from like 1 month's users. Yeah, we didn't do a survey. So it was like, because I think surveys bias people because they're like, oh, this is like going to be publicly like available data. But or like, oh, I want to think about how I'm answering it. But then when it's literally like within the product, people are like, they're being honest because this is what I care about.
So you found that 57% of women said politics was a dating non-negotiable, outranking height.
Yes.
Which that surprised me because I feel like the loud minority loves to talk about how like women are height and also like the loud minority of women are like, honestly, if he's not talking to me, like if he's talking to me and he's under 6 foot, like next caller. I personally. My friends like tall guys, but I mean, two 2 of my exes were 5'10", 5'9". Like, I think that's such a small issue. And then I think the male version of it is youth.
Yeah,
it's like, I need someone under 29. I need someone under 28. One of my friends the other day was talking about how, like, I need a girl a lot younger than me so she stays hot for longer. I was like, babes, like...
Babes, it's called Botox.
It's called Botox, and it's called, like, natural aging. Like, we're human
Either way,
beings.
you can naturally age with Botox also these days. Like, I more power to how... Like, look at Kris Jenner. She
got the lift.
She looks amazing. More power to her.
Yeah.
Like, firstly, I also don't think men should have these many opinions on, like someone was like, I don't want to date someone who has Botox. I'm like, why? Like, people who have good work done, you can't tell.
You can't tell.
Like, I hate... Like,
but like, it's like the same guys who hate women for liking Taylor Swift. Oh, you're into astrology. I hate that. That's a red flag. I'm like, you just don't want to see a woman happy, and that's the problem.
No, it's crazy like how these like biases just exist. I think the height one is really interesting, right? Because I also think there's a popular narrative in media and in men where like men who are not 6 feet are like, this is why women hate me and it's outside my control. And it's like, no, I think there's a lot of men who are not that tall, but are definitely getting women and are in very happy relationships and marriages. And like, I do think we've reached some really interesting point of like the battle of the sexes where like
gender wars.
Men and women are like, the problem is you women are the reason why no one's in a happy relationship. Women are like, men suck. That's why like no one's in a happy relationship. It's this like, and there's this pitting of like, these big, broad generalizations, right? And I loved that data set because I think height has been this really... I mean, did you see the movie The Materialists with Dakota Johnson? Well, anyway, like not to ruin it, but like Pedro Pascal in that, they're like, he like has one of those, you know, those shin surgeries where they break your shin and then your shin like regrows.
To get taller?
Yeah, to get like, it's like in the movie, not in real life. Don't worry. Like, and it's like, it just like kind of like, and he like talks about, he's like, yeah, if I was 6 inches shorter, would you have even looked at me? And it's like, yeah, I probably would have because you look like Pedro Pascal and you look really good. Like, I would not have been like, but like men equate like height with confidence and like this whole like alpha male vibe. It's not women who are doing that, right? Like it's like clear that like, especially women who are on the younger side, Gen Z women, like younger millennial women, for them, it's like, politics is the value set. Like this man is potentially going to be the father to your daughter, right? Their values, right? Like you don't want someone who's going to think your career is cute, you know? Like you don't want someone who's going to be like, oh, like, I don't think you should wear that, do that, dress like this, like any of those things. And that's at the end of the day so much more important.
Yeah. And I think you can try to, like, political differences, I think in moderation is fine. I actually respect someone who can challenge my way of thinking. But if it's to the point where we just like don't agree on my rights, like, I don't know.
I think core values, right? Like it's core values. It's like, yeah, like, do I agree with my husband on most things? No. That's healthy debate and discussion. Like, I feel like sometimes like the conversation we have overall is like, oh, you have to agree on everything or we agree on nothing. And it's like, but that's not it.
And I don't think that's like a
things
healthy,
we need to be
challenge.
Aligned on.
Yes,
and there's other things that actually it's totally okay if we like disagree on these things, and that's a healthy relationship.
So if you could tell me what you think one thing guys are doing wrong in dating and one thing girls are doing wrong in dating.
Okay, like let's start with the obvious thing for what guys are doing wrong. Their pictures are atrocious. Like honestly, especially in like the early days of Sitch, I was reviewing every single one of like the people who applied. I was like, I know this man. He doesn't look like this. He looks so much better. And I think that there's like, you know, men in like the pictures are underselling themselves in a huge way. And unfortunately, all of us are shallow, and we like both men and women, and we make that split second decision in that like second of like, oh, that picture, I'm not really sure if like that's the thing. In a less shallow version, what I think men are maybe doing wrong with dating is I think they are at first too focused on the physical, right? Like, and, oh, this is my type, this is not my type. And they haven't had those self-reflective conversations, or even like in a group setting with their friends. Versus women know exactly what they want, right? Because they've been talking about it with their friends forever. It's like, oh, I want a guy who does this. I want a guy who doesn't do this. I want like blah, blah, blah. And we see it in the responses in the bot, right? Like women like are putting in full like copy paste of their notes app of like, this is what I'm looking for in a partner. Guys are like, nice, kind, funny.
They're like, LOL, what do you want to do this year? Delete Hinge.
Yeah, like Nice. I'm looking for someone to be have a dog with. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame them because I feel like the prompting isn't very encouraging of depth, you know?
Yeah. And which, of course, it's such like we're seeing them like slowly over time. It's like they haven't had enough time or spaces to really reflect and think about this. And it's evident. And I think if I could advise manage, like hire a photographer and get a therapist, like both of those things really helpful. And then I think with women, obviously, the height filter, like I think flexibility with your filters, right? Because I think women set it as like, I want to date a man who is 6 feet, 5 years older than me, lives in XYZ neighborhood and has this education level. You cannot write a million different things. And is this religion, this ethnicity, and this political preferences? It's like they need to be all 10 things that I've determined. They need to be all of those things. I'm not saying to lower your standards or to settle, but I'm asking you to categorize things into like non-negotiables and nice to haves, right? Yeah. What are your 3 and maybe max 5 non-negotiables? And then the rest of it are nice to haves. And if you meet someone who matches the real non-negotiables, that's actually rare. Like, and if you have chemistry with them, that's amazing, right? Compatibility and chemistry are 2 very rare things to find together. And when you do find them, like grab it with both hands, right? And don't worry if he's 2 inches shorter than what you thought he was going to be. Like a man who's 5'10" and meets all of the things that you care about is better than a guy who's 6 feet. And that's really where the comparison ends.
I agree. I feel like we have, because literally I think due to social media, like I see some of my guy friends being like, yeah, literally with girls who are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I don't know. She's just not really it. Like she's just not super hot. And I'm like,
oh my God, are you so well,
skewed, babes? Are you well?
Really
I was like, this is like some of them, with all due respect, like some guys are just feel like they're entitled to a Victoria's Secret model.
Well, that's kind of because the internet has like made us all feel that way, right? We're all like I honestly think.
And the women feel like they're entitled to like a tech billionaire. Like it goes both ways.
Well, yeah, I do think there's like these larger narratives, but there's also like we're not supposed to see these many beautiful people or this much like lifestyle content and it is skewing how we look at the world, right?
Yeah.
It
like, I
really
think everyone's
is.
Rich.
Like, yeah, and you're like, everyone's in Europe on a super yacht. Why
exactly. And then credit card debt just reached like 1.2 trillion. What are we talking
It's like, I was at a dinner table where everyone was talking about their credit card debt. These people are all being in Greece this summer. And I'm like,
wait, they openly admitted that they're in credit card debt?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Is a good thing. Like, we should like normalize the conversation so maybe people can be like,
of course. No shame. But at the same time.
Hello, I know you spent like half of that credit card debt was in Greece on this Euro trip you did. Like, I just think we're chasing these like lifestyle goals, right? It's like you want to look a certain way. You want to be.
For the sake of other people.
Yes. You want to be in this exact place. You want to go to the US Open because everyone else is doing it. You want to get like the perfect TikTok face that everyone's face is starting to look like because you think that's the only way to do things. And that's, I think, some of the problem with like social media, etc. I don't know if I can solve all of that, right? It's just not
one step at a time, babe. No, I think we're slowly we've gone down this path of just removing authenticity and removing some of the like how special it is to be authentic. I do think it's coming back now in waves. I think the pendulum always swings, but like there was a point where I was in LA and I remember I was at this party and there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting work done. However, I will say a lot of the faces that were there were extremely similar. And a lot of these girls we're friends, we follow each other on Instagram. I was like, you're beautiful now, but you were also incredibly beautiful before.
Oh, no, it's like, it's the TikTok face creep, right? Where everyone's
What's a TikTok face?
It's like basically all of us, regardless of what our feature set is, are all starting to look like each other because we're all going to the same places for like Botox and everyone's getting like, oh, like just the casual lip flip. Oh, you're getting filler here. It's like slowly, like it's like almost like, oh, and then of course a little bit of Ozempic here and there. And it's like slowly our faces are all starting, regardless of what you're actually looking like, your faces start to look kind of the same.
But so how, because you have probably seen like so many conversations, right? Anonymized conversations. How do you think people can find the courage to show up as themselves during these dates, in these dates? Because I feel like there's this fear of rejection. Gen Z especially has a really hard time with being rejected. It's
I think we all do. I think like they talk about how shit they feel. We drink or we cry, or men keep it inside.
Yeah, I guess like Gen Z is just more openly crashing out.
Yes,
versus
exactly.
holding it all inside.
I know. I oftentimes feel that. I'm like, wow. I look at some of my employees. I'm like, what a public crash out this is. I'm loving it. At least I know what's going on.
I've literally cried in the office.
Like,
my boss is like, okay.
Like it's like, okay. But I think it's more, it's really hard. Like existing dating apps like ask you to be this cool version of yourself, right? And you're like, how do I look really hot in my pictures, and how do I seem extremely nonchalant so that like you're like intrigued and curious about who I am, and you're like, yes, exactly, like the mysterious girl,
when
right?
you might be chalant.
Yeah,
I'm very chalant.
We are chalant. It's your love life.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Why
Like,
would I be
we're not messing around.
nonchalant about who my husband is going to be? Like that's really important. Like, sorry if I care about who I'm going to have to share a bathroom with for the rest of my life. Though I don't think you should ever share a bathroom.
I know. I saw that. We're going to dive into that another conversation.
Like,
but yeah,
absolutely not. So I think like we are very chalant, but it's like you need to, like, if two people are looking to meet, right? Like you almost are like, I want to dump this like all of what I'm looking for in life to like a third party, right? Like why did matchmaking work in the past, right? It was because the matchmaker, the center, was this like third party who knew that like who you really were on the inside, what your core values are, and what you really wanted. And it was not cringe to tell the matchmaker all of this, because the matchmaker's purpose was to introduce you to people who meet all of those criteria.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of like, when I think about why is it so hard to show up as who we are, because it does take time to feel that comfortable, and that's why it takes 5 weeks
and I think
for you to unlock all those things.
In the dating apps, I feel like we're trying to automate that out when that probably was actually a good thing to keep in.
Yeah, because it's like, well, now how are you supposed to figure that out? Like you have to figure it out yourself versus like, we know this about you. And, I've set up tons of couples myself. A couple of the couples I've set up have gone on to get married. Some of them are expecting babies. My grandmother's a matchmaker. So I really believe in like the cultural idea of a matchmaker, right? What is a matchmaker ultimately? A matchmaker is yet another form of a coach who's helping you improve one aspect of your life. There is no shame in that, right? If you tell someone, oh, I have a trainer, no one's like, oh my God, like, what? Like, why? Or if you tell someone, oh, I have a therapist, and I'm like, oh, are you having a crash out? It's like, no, it's like pretty normalized to have a therapist. Yeah. Or like if you're like, when you're trying to get into college or like get into an MBA program, you have a college counselor, like MBA counselor. No one is shocked anymore that you have a coach in these things. So why is there this stigma attached to the idea of having a coach of some kind when it comes to your love life? And that is the role the matchmaker plays. And that is the role that currently AI is enabling us to play at a much, much larger scale.
So why do we judge that though? Why do we judge that?
Because we've romanticized this notion that you're going to bump into this person at a bodega and you're going to know that they're the one. And we've watched one too many rom-coms and we're like, that's how it's supposed to happen. But maybe, we never know what happens in the rom-coms after they're done, right? Like once the end credits roll.
Yeah, and I feel like the way we grew up was also just mainly focused on like the quick story. It's like you fall in love, that's it. What about the 60 years after?
Yeah.
Except for like the Notebook and stuff. But like besides that, just what about all the years after? And I do feel, which I'm curious to know your thoughts about. I do feel there is a little bit of culture of both intolerance. It's so like self-help to the max, to the point where I sometimes feel like if you have any sort of flaws, you're toxic, that's a red flag. I'm leaving.
I think we all have red flags about, like, obviously, all of us do, right?
For sure.
I also think we have red flags that if a particular partner has, those are really triggering for us, right?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, it's like, I say a lot, like, it's like, for me, I don't think I could have dated a man who was insecure competitive with my career. Right? I always wanted a partner who's going to be incredibly supportive and be my biggest cheerleader. I don't think that is something that 90% of people are really optimizing for, right? Like it's like, and that's okay. And that doesn't make like every man, like 90% of men a red flag. They're just a red flag for me. That like that's incompatible because that's something that I'm looking for. So I think, at Sitch we talk a lot about like, it's not about like everyone is looking for a 10. But that's the problem. What you're not looking for a 10. You're looking for your 10. And what your 10 is a very specific set of nice to haves, non-negotiables, and red flags. And you are picking someone who matches you, right? You're not looking for the hottest person in the room. You're not looking for the smartest person in the room. You're not looking for the richest person in the room. Though I think many of us are looking for at least one of those three things. But what you're really looking for is like, who fixes those gaps in you, who brings out the best in you, and who makes you feel like wholly yourself. And when you find that person, and I think finding that person is a rare and beautiful thing. And when you find that person, and hopefully find them on Sitch, obviously, but finding that person is beautiful and it's special and it takes work. It takes work to find them. It also takes a lot of work after you found them.
Yeah. And I do feel like we are falling into this pattern of all conditioning ourselves to want the same 10, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, we all should want someone who's super rich, super successful, super smart, super intelligent, good looking, 6'10", whatever number.
Yeah.
And men
works in finance.
Exactly. Men are all like, oh, we should all want a woman who's a supermodel, who's super emotionally intelligent, nurturing, kind at the same time, independent, but not too independent.
I don't even think they're looking for independent. Like, it's like the first few things, you're on the right track there. Right? It's like, are they going to be looking cute when I come home from work and wearing like a cute outfit? And it's like, I don't know if that's what you really want.
Like I do have felt like in the past, which maybe this has always been a thing, but it's like, honestly, I think it's the internet brain. Like, some guys want more of an accessory of a woman than a person, to like a partner, if that makes sense.
Like,
it's like, oh,
it
baby,
somehow feels
you
like
should like
a
look
wife
good.
And a partner feel like somehow different words.
Have you heard the saying? Some men want a wife more than they want to be a husband, if that makes sense.
Yes. Where it's an unequal thing, right? Like, where the wife is giving to you, but you are not giving to the wife, right? And I think that's like, part of the thing is that a lot, like the narrative when women are growing up is largely like you're taught how to be, or what being a good wife and what a good mother looks like. How often are men having these conversations with their fathers, with their guy friends, with their brothers about like what being a good husband looks like, and like what showing up for your partner looks and feels like? And I don't think it's because men don't want to be this. It's just they don't have access to these spaces and these conversations. And in some small way, right? Like, I actually had a very wise investor have this conversation with him. He was like, maybe what you're doing is not even like just matchmaking. What you're doing is helping men have a place, a safe space to have these conversations, right?
Aww.
Of like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, I think I want this, but I don't know for sure. And having a place to bounce off those ideas. And hopefully that is like I spend a lot of time thinking about like, why am I doing what I'm doing, right? I love love. I'm a huge romantic. If I wasn't a founder of a dating app, I would 100% be a romance novelist. Like, that's a no-brainer. But I think it's because I believe fundamentally that we as humans want to be the best versions of ourselves. We want to find the person who lights us up, and we want to be amazing to them, but we just don't know how to do that. And I wake up every day thinking like, well, maybe we're making some inroad in that, and that's good enough,
Yeah.
And we can't fix it all, but maybe we can at least help a few people feel like they have some support on this very difficult but very important decision.
Yeah, and I feel like men, it's obviously changing now, but there's always been a little bit of challenge in talking about their feelings, and they sometimes don't feel welcome to. So I think the space that you're creating for that is really, really special.
We're trying to at least.
And then I want to dive into the writing that you've done. So you said some interesting things. You said the bathroom is where relationships go to die.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't think that you need to, like, I know you, like, you might love your partner. You don't need to like do every single thing together. You don't need to be in the bathroom at the same time that they're showering, right? Like, it's like you can have some degree of separation and mystery, and that's what keeps like the spark alive. I have always maintained that my husband and I, well, we've never shared a bathroom and we never will. Like we just like, that's right. I sometimes when we're on vacation, I'm like, oh, like I'm reminded why, you know? And I think there's this like, that in some ways is a physical manifestation of my larger belief of how we function in relationships. That actually we don't need to show up and say we are one unit, we do everything together and like have all the same opinions, interests and whatnot. It's this idea that you may spend 80% of your life together, you may overlap a lot, but like we all have these like, you want to call them secret gardens, or if you want to call them bathrooms, right? In this case of like places and spaces you go both like mentally and emotionally and like in your interests, where it's like, yeah, I'm still an individual, I'm still a person. And then you go back to your partner and you have a wonderful relationship.
To younger people who are dating, who are the dating app generation, like pure dating app generation,
I feel like at that point we are that generation as well.
Yeah, probably everyone is that. Honestly, everyone
is. Like, look, like it's dating. Like
52% of adults under the age of like 36 have used a dating
But
app.
it's also crazy because you look at like the statistics around second timers, right? Like, because there's people who were never on dating apps. They got married when they were really young, like in like 20, 30 years ago. Now they're getting divorced, or like now they have to go on dating apps. Like, I think like if I had to pick, like better off like that we've always had to deal with this, but then to imagine coming out.
I'd be like, literally goodbye. I'd be like, nope, this is not happening. But what is something that you think I won't target the younger generation on this, but everyone misunderstands about love?
I think it's that this person is supposed to know how to be the best possible partner to you right off the bat, right? Like we think that once you fall in love, then everything is fine. It's like, no. Actually, this is when the real work begins, because some of the easiest things happen when you're dating, when everything is new and exciting. But then 7 years in, 20 years in, 30 years in, you still have to wake up every day and choose to be with that person and get through the bullshit together. And life can throw a lot of that at you. And I think we don't have love stories that talk about what a life together really looks like. It's not that exciting. It's more exciting to like show the falling in love part, right? So I think I always like, it's like, don't expect it to be easy, but expect that when you work for it, it's worth it.
And when it does get hard, like when it gets really, really tough, what makes you able to continue to go through that and choose that person?
I think it sort of comes back to this non-negotiable idea, right? Like, is this person still at their core who like displaying the values that I want them to display, right? Like, is this person still like smart, ambitious, hardworking? Yeah, maybe they're having a really bad year at work and they're really stressed and like really miserable and like this work's killing them. Or like maybe you guys are going through like a really tough time with like fertility stuff. It's like, is this something that has structurally changed in our relationship, or is this more temporal? And if it's temporal, then yeah, you're good. But like if it's something that's structural, then I think you really ask yourself like, if you're miserable for 6 weeks, that's nothing. It's a blip, like a blink of your eyes. 6 months, okay. But then I think it's sort of like, I always say it's like, if it's been like 18 months, like a year and a half where you've been stuck in the same thing, then yeah, you should take a hard look at like your relationship. I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing how much to fight and when to give up. Right?
But how do you know
I think it's really like, it's like asking yourself those questions, right? Like it's like, have they changed? Like, have I changed? Is it structural or is it temporary? And how long has this like unhappiness been going on for? Because I do think it's sort of like a bit of a performance review constantly, right? Like my husband and I actually spend
because of check-ins.
Like, of course, I think it's actually crazy if people don't, right? Like this is like
I used to force my boyfriend to have check-ins.
No, we obviously do that. It's like this is the person you're going on the project of building a life with, right?
Yeah.
Why would you not check in with them on like, hey, like like what's going right, what's going wrong, like how are we feeling, like what could we be doing better, like how could we be supporting each other a little more, like, and talking through all of those things, right? Like, and you should be actively having those conversations and thinking through it and having those open lines of communication. And it shouldn't surprise either of you when you are having problems, because you both know you're actively in conversation about whether or not you're having these problems in conversation.
Yeah, so nothing's blindsiding. In communication, I feel like what are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in dating?
It's oh God, it's the Gottman stuff. Like I should know this, but it's like
communication, defensiveness,
like
Affection.
stonewalling.
Stonewalling, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think all of those are like fine. Like those are actually more like how you fight, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's different is like, it's really of like, have our values fundamentally changed? Have our long-term goals changed, right? Like sometimes like partner, like, it's like you marry someone and then a few years later or a few decades later, there's someone completely different who you wake up next to. We talk a lot about chemistry. We talk a lot about compatibility. But then I think the third C really when we think about relationships is change, right? You're really hoping that you fall for someone who you're deeply compatible with, but that you both change in the same way over time. The real answer of all of this is you don't know. You can only hope, and you can hope that you grow together and you grow with each other, but you can't guarantee any of that. You can hope and pray that if you were compatible enough and that you had enough chemistry, that you will go the distance.
And I think something also that can be beautiful, which I've never experienced, so no one take advice from me, but I think I've heard from like my parents and my grandparents who were married for 40, I think it was like 55 years.
Yeah.
You fall in love with that person over and over again. You fall in love with different versions of them. It's not boring because you see them grow and evolve, but it is nice if they're growing.
And you choose them. Direction. You choose them. You like wake up every day and it's like, you're still making a choice. I always say that. It's like, I'm like, 7 years in, I'm like, jury's still out, every day. I'm like, yeah, I'm still like really thrilled and happy to be in this relationship.
I still love you.
And then some days you're like, can you, I need to get out of this bed. Like, you're irritating me. And that's okay. That's okay. It's like, ultimately, as long as there's more good days than bad, that you feel like this person loves you, supports you, you love them, you support them, you grow together, they bring out the best in you, that you're like walking in the same direction. You could have the best job in the world. Like I always say, it's like, I love living in New York, but then sometimes you need to leave. And sometimes you're like, I'm tired of New York, I need a break, right? And that's what like being in love with someone and over a lifetime feels like. Sometimes you do need a break, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not going to be as in love with them as you were at a different point in your life. And then sometimes you'll be like even more in love with them.
And what's something that you've learned from being in a relationship for so long? I mean, you're married, right? So
yeah.
What's like, give me something.
Take 5 minutes. That's like always my rule. It's
wait, tell me more. What does that mean?
It's like, I'm someone who, like, I can be pretty aggressive when we fight and I can say things that I don't mean, then have to apologize for a lot. And then I've hurt the person that I love, like, quite frankly, most in the world, right? And I found that when we're in a heated situation, it's just leaving the room for 5 minutes, leaving the apartment, getting froyo for 5 minutes. Like, those are just
together
like,
or separate?
Separately.
Okay,
No, you can't. You need space. You need literal space. It's like, just get out of that room, get out of that situation, and take 5 minutes. And you might come back in 5 minutes and be like, I'm absolutely right, and I'm going to continue this fight. But you've had 5 minutes to actually, like, almost like you've had a second to like decompress and be like, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Is this like a fight that I want to fight? Is this a hill I want to die on, right? And then a lot of the times you come back and you're like, what I'm really saying is this one specific thing. Like, I don't need you to change 800 things. I need you to do this one thing. Like, that's it. So I always say, like, just take 5 minutes. It like always gives you perspective.
I love that rule. And also, I mean, yeah, lets the dust settle. And what does accountability look like in a healthy relationship?
I think it's about setting goals together and apart. And asking, constantly asking the other person of like how to help them get to those things and how you can as a couple get to those things. I think there's also a deeper level of accountability or maybe it's like more trust. I think the most important thing in a relationship is really trust. Like, do I believe that this person like has my back and like is really like there for me? And that is, that's actually the beauty of like a really long-term healthy relationship. It's that thing of like your partner's in the corner of the room and you don't even like, you don't see them, but you just know like you guys can like stare at each other and be like, oh, I'm having a horrible time talking to this person. Like, please come save me. Like, right? And that's it, right? Like people are always like, oh, is your partner supposed to be a best friend? It's like, I think best friend is a tier. Like, it's a tier of people in your life who you fundamentally believe, like, love you for who you are and will have your back and will, like, probably forgive you for, like, whatever. Like, when you murder someone and you need someone to, like, bury the body,
Where's
right?
the body?
Like, it's like, yeah, who's like, okay, I'm going to come, like, oh, like, I guess I'll drive my Jeep, like, because you don't know how to drive and like help you bury this body. Like, it's like your partner should be in that tier, obviously. But I think there's also like another common misconception we face is like your partner needs to be your everything. Like they need to be the person who you are going on a run with in the morning. Then you cook breakfast with them. Then you like text throughout the day when you're at work. And then there's gossip or there's drama or there's like stress and you're like texting them. You come back and you make dinner together and then you go like watch, go to like a show or you like do whatever. And it's like, no, dude, you're supposed to have like other people in your life. Like
then you go into codependency, right?
Yes. Your partner is not supposed to be your whole world. They're supposed to be like a really incredibly important thing and person who gives you like a lot of like specific things, but they can't give you everything.
Yeah. And that's not a fair ask either.
Yeah. And then that's why we go to like, oh, this person is not meeting every single criteria, right? Like it's like, I love literature and politics. My husband could not care about either of those two things. I think that's totally okay because I have all my college friends from Georgetown who want to discuss nothing but politics. And then I can join a book club. Like those needs can be met outside of the relationship.
Yeah, you can fill those needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like your partner can't be everything.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to leave us with any last piece of advice for, I guess, both people in a relationship and one for single people.
Well, obviously for single people, the answer is very clear. It's like if you're not on Sitch, you should obviously be on Sitch. You got to trust a matchmaker instead of you swiping away for all of eternity. And if you're in a relationship, you have single friends, so they should be on Sitch as well. So please send them my way.
You heard it here.
But on a serious note, right? I think it's really like if you're dating, you never know when it's your last night being single. So enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much of a burden as people make it out to be.
Enjoy the ride. And if you're in a relationship, you never know when that roller coaster is going to end. So enjoy that ride as well.
Love that. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.